Another episode here at Tall and Taller. Ben's finally back. Sick last week. Made me do the show on my own. Sorry for the shit show that happened. Guys, we got a lot to talk about this week. From a lot of Michigan football news to Harbaugh drama again this offseason. And then kind of talk about what's wrong with Michigan basketball at the end, kind of wrap it up. But first, we move into Michigan football news. We'll start, I guess, with the TCU Michigan game. Since we haven't talked about it yet, guys, it was disappointing. I think we can all agree on that. Disappointing showing by the team. I think, as we were just talking about, I think we win that game 9 times out of 10. But of course, being a Michigan fan, and just that's the life of a Michigan fan. You lose that 9 times out of 10. Usually, every single fucking time is usually that 9th game out of 10.
Right.
You can say it's whether it's from the national championship game against Louisville back in 2013. I think we win that game 9 times out of probably not 9 times out of 10, but to now,
if they call that Trey Burke block right, we win it.
Yeah, no, I don't really. That just opened up a whole nother fucking can of beans on my end.
Right. And this is, I'm gonna go off course for a minute, but I would challenge a team, a university, to come up with more bad luck things from not just officiating, but officiating is certainly a part of it. To trouble with a snap, to Cordell Stewart's Hail Mary, to App State. It's like a little mini curse hangs over us. We have really good to great seasons, and shit just happens, and we didn't lose that game because of this, but that touchdown was overturned is absolutely ridiculous. And that's a 7-point difference in the game, right? And we win, but one of the things that we talked about, during our show before that game was we got to win the turnover battle. That was one of my keys. And JJ at that point had 3 interceptions all year, right? I believe, and throws 2 pick sixes. If he just throws 1 pick six, we're in it. So we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit. I do think that we took them lightly. I think the players bought into the national and social media hype that we're gonna, I half expected them to do what Georgia did to them. I wouldn't have been shocked if it was a 49-7, whatever, 49-10, 52-17 type score. But with that being said, I texted you earlier in the week, and I really didn't fully vocalize it, but I just had a weird feeling. But I just kind of wrote it off to my years of psychological damage.
The psychological abuse, man.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. 13-1, hell of a season. Most wins in our very much storied history. So, hard to be too bitter about it. But the best team that day won, but I don't think the best team won. And the national championship game proved that. Would we have beat Georgia? Maybe not, but I don't think they would have. I know they wouldn't have done to us what they did to TCU, and I think that it would have been a much better game than it was last year. We matched up a lot better with them, but
never know.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda,
You'll never fucking know. like you said, not the reason we lost, but going back, I'll go back on that first because that was one thing that I wanted to talk about, but I kind of forgot about. Was that touchdown was overturned, but if you go back and look from where the interception happened and where he was tackled, the referee had marked the ball 5 yards back from where he was actually tackled,
Yeah.
from where the actual turnover actually ended. I mean, you take that into effect. It is what it is. That's we know that's not why we lost. We got too goddamn cute.
Yeah.
Why that first drive of the game? Why go down and try to run a fucking Philly special on the 2 goddamn yard line when you're literally known as my opinion, the best running offense in the nation?
Right. What's that team's identity? We're going to oppose our will and run it down your throat when you know we're going to run it down your throat.
Yep.
And they didn't. And had it been later in the game, I might have understood it a little bit more, but it didn't make sense because Donovan Edwards' first carry, what was it, 55 yards or whatever it was?
50, 60 yards, something like that.
Yeah. So at that point, the evidence showed, hey, we're running the ball on them, and to get that cute, at that point, it just didn't make sense. But I will say this: give Harbaugh. I think that's the first time I've ever heard Harbaugh admit that, man, I fucked up on that one, and he talked about it a little bit after the game, and then during his press conference, he's like, I wish I could have that one back. That was a bad call by me.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I get it, but I think if we score there, that's a huge, 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 huge momentum shift right off the bat.
absolutely. Because our next
And
possession, we throw the first pick six, right?
yeah,
I
because it was
think.
7-0. Yeah, it was 7.
Yeah.
It went up 7-0 on a pick six. But we score there. That defense doesn't get that momentum.
Right. Doesn't get that confidence.
Right after we just ripped off a long run, 50, 60-yard run on the first play.
Yep.
And I mean, shout out to, I think his first name's Jalen Winters. That dude for TCU played a massive game. Seemed to be absolutely everywhere. And of course, there's somebody every time, again, whether it's 2 national championship games in basketball or with this game, you got somebody who decides, I haven't really did much all season. I mean, he did stuff, but I'm going to have the game of my lifetime today. If you would
Right.
have told me that JJ McCarthy, if you would have told me that prior Friday or that Saturday morning when we had the show that JJ McCarthy would have thrown for 343 passing yards with 2 touchdowns and we lost that football, and you would have said that we lost that game, I would have called you crazy. Right. I told you before the game, I seen the look in JJ's eye, and he said, I was like, JJ's throwing for 400 today. I was damn near right, but Max Duggan threw for 400 also, or whatever the fuck it was. I mean,
right. So yeah, JJ threw for 500. You count the 2 pick sixes to the other team. Just a weird deal, and like not taking anything away from TCU. Hats off to them that they won it, but that was probably, and I mean it's hard to judge because our first 3 or 4 games were. But that was probably our worst played game of the season. And did TCU have something to do with it? Yeah, they had a really solid game plan, but and by far our worst second half of the season, not even close. I forget the numbers now, but what we had given up 17 or something second half points.
It was very. We gave up like 30 something this game.
Yeah. The first half, I'm pretty bummed out, but the second half comes out, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna score some points, we're gonna hold them.
We scored points. I mean,
we scored the points, but our defense just
couldn't get a stop.
And
I mean, go ahead.
The one thing that pisses me off, and we talked about this, what's going to happen, and there's fans like this in every fan base, but during Twitter, during that second half, and then for I don't know, a week or so after the game, there's people demanding fucking Minter's head, and I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Look what this
One, it's
guy's
just
done.
yeah, it's his first season, guys, and his
Right.
defense was very good. Did it get exposed, and did Sonny Dykes have a good game plan for his against his defense? Yes, but again, like I said, I think if we play that game again, our defense, honestly, in my opinion, is probably a different game. I mean, like I said, I could be completely wrong, and they could come in and do it, but there's one play that kind of seemed to be the like, at least to me, was like, fuck, man, we just that was our shot, and it was that 76-yard touchdown pass to Quentin Johnson on that. He ran like a crossing route,
Yep.
a short crossing route, and DJ Turner took a horrible fucking angle. And like, if he would have kept the angle he originally had, he would have stopped him and it would have been like 4th and 4. But he took a horrible route, and Quentin Johnson took it to the house, and when it made it 48-38, and I was like, there were still 13 minutes left in the game, and the way that our offense played in the second half, I mean, shit, we won the second half, I think, in points.
Yeah. Statistically, right? We won all the categories that we like to win. And first downs 25-19. Well, third down efficiency, we were 3 for 13. They were 8 for 16. That was probably,
that
the
was
biggest
horrible
difference.
too.
Yeah. Outgained them 520, 488, 342 to 225 rushing. They are passing. They did outrush us 263 to 186. We had less penalties than them. We won the time of possession, and Duggan, I forget what, I want to say he only had 1 or 2 interceptions on the year too. And so if you'd have told me before the game that we were going to pick him off twice,
pick him off.
That's ball game. That's ball game. We're going to win this one.
They fumbled the football too. I mean, we got points off that.
Yep.
I just got depressed again. Damn. But yeah. Missed opportunity. A very good missed opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Missed opportunity. And I thought Georgia probably played their best game of the year in the national championship game they were on. And TCU was overmatched, but I don't feel as confident after our loss and after watching Georgia that we would have beat them. But you go back to liking that to TCU, Michigan. Man, if you're in the fight, you got a chance, and we just couldn't finish it off to get in the fight. So this college football season fucking flew by, right? And it was one of the most enjoyable college football seasons in my lifetime. Probably for you.
I can't. I mean, closest to this would have been, last year.
Yeah.
But at least that like you said, at least that I remember, the only first season that I truly was like somewhat involved or somewhat paying attention to college football was the 06 season. But yeah. No, it was a great season. Nothing to really. As me and you talked after the game, it texted after the game. It wasn't even like I was like mad or like upset that we lost. I was just like, kind of like that gut punch of.
Yeah, it's like when you're a little kid, right? And your dad says, "Oh, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed."
Yeah,
and that's worse, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's a million times worse, and that's where I was at too. I'm just like, I wasn't even mad about it. I was just so bummed and disappointed.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Before we move on to the next one, can we talk about Ohio State fans and how they think that they are somehow better than us now because they lost to Georgia by 1? And when we've beat them by 20 plus points the past 2 seasons, like
I
20
don't get
points
it.
plus. I mean, it's almost like that game didn't happen to them anymore. After they sat on Twitter and cried and fucking cried and fucking cried for the month before the playoff game, but now
Right.
magically because they beat Georgia and we lost to TCU, they lost to Georgia by 1 and we lost to TCU. They're somehow magically better than us, even though we proved it on the field in
Right.
Columbus
Even though we
by
fucking
22
dog
points.
walked them.
I mean, just
But,
a
you know,
weird flex in
the
my
other thing,
opinion.
even before our playoff game, right, is that, well, if you took away these 5 possessions, well, no shit. You could say that about every fucking single game. You
You
know,
take away our 2 interceptions and our fumble on the 1 yard line, and
right.
we win the game by 3 scores. But yeah,
They are Michigan State's by far the most annoying, but they are the biggest whiners of any fan base. Well, maybe Tennessee might be ahead of them. That just thinks that they go from one day fucking hung up by his nuts and
now he's the
burn his
greatest
house
coach
down,
ever.
huh?
Now he's the greatest coach ever.
Right. And now, Brian Jesus Christ Hartline is their offensive coordinator, so they're not gonna lose another game for the next 30 years, apparently, now that he's their OC. And you got
Hot take there, or it could be a cold take, but hot take in my opinion. I don't think he has success as an offensive coordinator.
I don't think so either. And
Could be completely wrong, and that's fine. But
I think they did this to because if we beat Day again next year, he's gone, right? Even though he'll be like 58-6,
he's lost.
they'll fire
He's
his ass,
1-3 versus Michigan at that point if
right?
they lose that
And
game.
I was a little bit surprised they hired him because I don't know that it really matters a whole lot anymore with the way that the whole landscape college football has changed, but they want an Ohio State guy to coach Ohio State. And I get that. I want a Michigan guy to coach Michigan. But I think they put him in place in case they got to get rid of Day. Now they can elevate him. You can't really elevate a wide receivers coach to head coach, but you can elevate a offensive coordinator to head coach pretty easily. But the other thing is that, CJ Stroud, I think he's a really good quarterback. I don't think that he's deserving of a lot of the hype that he gets, but he is. I wouldn't trade him for JJ, or I wouldn't trade JJ for him. But
No, I think they're honestly, in my opinion, I think they're probably about this, about right there, about the same level of
yeah,
athletic, and I mean, me
he's
and
a
Aaron.
lot more accurate on the deep ball. I will say
Oh
that.
yeah, no, he has a great deep ball, and I mean that's why that's really why. I mean, the receivers are good, but that's really why the receivers are so good, is because he's accurate down the field.
Well, yeah, and when you got a couple, if both their receivers, if Marvin Harrison Jr. come out, both those receivers and Jimmy Smith, right? They'd probably be both top 10 picks. So it's easy to look good on the deep ball when you got 2 top 10 receivers catching the ball too. Not to take away from CJ, but it certainly helps. But the other thing is these guys, they drug CJ Stroud back and forth through the mud, blamed him for the loss almost as much as Day, wanted him out of town. I'm glad he's gone. Started naming the next 2 they got back. Now the last couple days,
Oh yeah,
it's sounding like he might come back, right? And
oops,
you would
wrong one.
think that he's Bart fucking Starr or Tom Brady or a combination of both. Oh, we're gonna run this whole world next year. Stroud's coming back. Oh, we love Stroud. We want him back, and it's just like, man, come on, pick a side and stick to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If he's
I
horrible, he's
agree.
horrible, and if he isn't, he isn't. But they're just so far over the place, and as you mentioned, the 1 point loss. Now they're better than us, and I am surprised that I can't think of their kicker's name, but I'm surprised that
Rose.
they have treated him, as well as they have, and I'm sure he got some low
Oh,
key.
he was getting death threats and shit like that. Right after, like, I remember I seen something on Twitter, like his mom or dad or something like that posted
His
something on
mom, yep,
Twitter, like, stay the fuck, like, he doesn't need this shit. Like, it's a fucking football game, guys.
right,
You can go back. I'm not saying that Ohio State fans are the only one doing this. Michigan fans did it with Ronnie Bell when
yep,
we lost Penn State. Michigan fans did it with fucking Blake O'Neal after the
yep.
fucking
Trouble with the
snap
snap.
botch. I don't like calling it that because it pisses me off. But, uh, it happens. Every fan base has their bad fucking apples. We talked about it with Ohio State fans when I went down to Columbus this year.
Yep.
I had a fucking wonderful time. Just a bunch of fucking drinking and fucking good old shit talking. No fucking fights. Nothing. And I think that's honestly how a lot of Michigan fans felt this year going down to Columbus. Was they couldn't have had a better experience down there compared to what it was. I know Taylor Lewan said the same thing,
Yep.
and that's
I
somebody who's
seen
played in the
one.
rivalry, been down there.
I seen one guy on Twitter bitch about how he was treated and called everybody about, like, he acted like they were throwing eggs and rotten fruit at him, and a bunch of Michigan fans chimed in on his threat and was like, listen, that was one of the most welcoming and well behaved crowds I've ever seen anywhere. And that was kind of the unanimous thing, that it was a really great, friendly, shit talking, sure, but that's fine. That's a fun part of college football,
Yeah,
right? It's different than threatening and throwing drinks on people and shit like that just because they're wearing different colors than you. So yeah, and you're right about every fan base has it, but it just seems like Ohio State has more, and their like emotional curve. It's been a roller coaster for them, since we beat them, and from the lowest of the lows to now they're celebrating this 1 point loss like they won the Natty, and I just don't get it.
yeah. They ended up in the same position on the same day that Michigan did,
Right.
and it's the same thing.
Last
So
I checked, if you lose by 1 or 50, it's still a
you still
loss.
lost,
You know what I mean?
and it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, the
And
game that mattered was played on November 6th this year, or whatever day, 26th. That game that mattered between us decided who the better team was won by us. We won
right,
by 22 points. If that doesn't tell you who the better team was, a 22-point victory,
right. And we
I
won
don't
one
know
more
what does.
game than them. So by all
Oh yeah,
measures, you know what I mean?
and we're Big Ten, yeah, like you said, and we're Big Ten
Right.
champs. So I don't. They're just
I
they're
just
just
seen your banner.
they're just full of shit. But, probably both Aaron will probably get on here and talk some shit, but yeah, Ohio State fans suck. That the banner says it all, guys. Um, Moving on, guys. I said it from fucking the night we lost against TCU. I posted it on Facebook on the Facebook page. Blake fucking Corum was coming back. Did I not? I
You
posted
did.
it. The man, in my opinion, one NFL. He's back. Um, he's a competitor. Period. But another reasoning is the NFL doesn't use running backs like it's a dying breed in the NFL now as a running back.
It is. So
And
I think if he doesn't get hurt, right, I think best case scenario, he's a third round pick because of the way the NFL treats running backs now.
yeah,
Um, and and now that he's got hurt, there's a good chance that he doesn't get drafted, right? And he's got to go in and earn it, get a free agent invitation to a camp, and then prove it. And even at a third round pick, um, I can't remember the numbers, but it's not a lot of money. And with this is a good thing of NIL. He's going to make way more money at Michigan right now than he would from a potential NFL first contract, getting drafted, if he even got drafted with the injuries. So for him to come back and prove that he's healthy and prove that his knee is stable, and if he can do what he did last year again, it's just going to help him all the way around. It's the only thing that really made sense, from the very beginning.
I think if Michigan can get another player that announced who's coming back is Trevor Keegan.
Yeah.
Another big addition to keep on that offensive line next year, to add on with the center that we got from Stanford, Hogan, or I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. And then we got Hinton, the left tackle, and then that kid or Henderson from Arizona State. So I mean, we have 2 tackles. We got our tackles coming in, 2 transfer tackles, and a center. Now, if we can get Zach Zinner, still hasn't announced what he's doing yet. If we get Zach Zinner back at the other guard, again, haven't watched film on any of the other line or anything like that, but I'm assuming if Harbaugh is bringing them in as a transfer, Harbaugh hasn't really missed on the offensive line very much since he's been here.
No.
At all, and that's one thing. I mean, Sharon Moore, he's done a great job with the offensive line. Again, Sharon Moore has been an awesome coach at the University of Michigan, period. That's a big thing.
So Zach Zenner, right? That's key, I think, because he's a sophomore, right? But he's 21, so he could go. But if he comes back, barring some injury, I think that pretty much guarantees that at minimum that our offensive line is as good next year as it was this year. I'm pretty sure they got to declare by tomorrow, the 15th, I think it is.
Yeah, tomorrow, because
I
want to hear.
We're going to hear something soon.
Yeah, it's got to be either today or tomorrow afternoon. Everyone, if you don't hear it today, everyone be on standby for everyone who hasn't announced, and whether it's, I think, is Junior Colson eligible? I can't fucking find a thing on that. I gotta look. What I thought he was, but I think it's 3 years, and then you're eligible to go.
Yeah, 3 years or 2 plus 21, I think.
Because I think if he is, he's also a key, I think, on the defensive side. Also RJ Moten. I mean, losing Jamon Green and DJ Turner, them both going pro this offseason, already announced, kind of hurt. At least secondary, I mean, we got Will Johnson, and I mean, the rumors are also still swirling around that Damani Jackson is going to enter the transfer portal and come to Michigan. But I think Junior Colson is kind of the biggest defensive player that I would like to return this year.
I don't think he can leave. I'm looking right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to find his profile. What number is he?
He's a sophomore, right?
25. Is he
and
a true sophomore,
though? 20, yeah. Yeah, he can't. I'm pretty sure he can't leave.
Okay. I feel like he's been here for like 3 years. That's why
it does feel that way, but
he got here the same time JJ did. I mean, had a great season. Seems like we always have that one linebacker. So, anyways, going back, changing what I said now. RJ Moten in the secondary, and then Who's there's is it Jalen? Not Jalen. There's a defensive lineman that said he was staying, and now they're saying that he has second thoughts on it. I don't know. Our defense has kind of been shredded, honestly.
It has.
I mean, Mike Morris gone, Mozzie Smith gone, uh, DJ Turner, Jermon Green, Michael Barrett. I don't think has announced yet. Um, I don't know. Defensive side. Like I just kind of realized. Sorry, I was sitting there quiet for a second. I kind of just realized like how actually hurt the defense actually got this offseason.
Yeah, no, we got beat up.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of sucks. So I think now it's RJ Moten and Bakari Page. I mean, he'll play in the secondary this year, probably quite a bit. I mean, if we can't get a cornerback, if Damani Jackson doesn't transfer in or something, look for the young guns coming in, Jair Hill, to get some decent playing time as a freshman. I mean, so now that I think about it, I mean, next season, I know it's a long ways away, 9 months, whatever, 8 months. Look for that. I mean, that defense is probably going to be the biggest question next year again. And I mean, Jesse Minter done a great job this year. Can he do it again next year? With really, I mean, he's not going to have the defense set up like he did this year, where he kind of already had a defense. We're kind of going to see if he can actually coach. Like, not actually coach. Let me take that back. If he can make something out of players who weren't already in a system, and like didn't have the Mike Morrises, didn't have the Mozzie Smith. Will he create the Mozzie Smiths? Will he create the Aiden Hutchinsons, the Mike Morrises, the Mikey Sainterstill? Speaking, there's a big one that came back also was Mikey Sainterstill. I mean, I know that was a while ago, but it'd be interesting to see. So apparently, the whole University of Michigan just either I think needs to boycott the NCAA, and I think everyone needs to go to the Little Brown Jug and go get a burger.
Right.
The Burger Gate guys. I mean that's what I'm calling it now. I mean there's a little bit more to it that happened. I mean this, in my opinion, it's a laughing fucking matter. It's the NCAA is pretty much showing their ass at this point.
They are, but you know the one thing that so they've always seem to have a thing for Harbaugh, right? Maybe he just rubs whoever the wrong way. Is what they're saying now is it's not so much the burgers, it's the fact that
he fucking tried to hide it.
Right, tried to hide it or whatever, and oh shit, who was the recruiting coordinator left? He just got fired from Mississippi State for basically the same shit.
Bill. Yeah, no, he's the one. He's the one that he's the goddamn whistleblower.
Right.
It was it wasn't
Sankey.
It was Hughes, wasn't it?
No, Sankey, I think.
I don't know. Well, yeah.
Anyways, long story short, sounds like this guy got squeezed down where he's at now and turned in the receipt from Harbaugh. They go to Harbaugh. Harbaugh's like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, well, what about this receipt with your name on it? Or, and I think this is a distinct possibility too, that Ward leaked it to try to fucking push him out. Because there's a lot of shit going on there between him and Ward. And we could talk about this for days, but your athletic director and your coaches don't have to like each other, but they need to be on the same page. And,
Yeah.
they need to be supported publicly. And for whatever reason, Jim Harbaugh's ego seems to need that even more than a lot of other coaches. And Ward has flat out, refused to do so. And we've talked about Dakich and Pearson and
Beeline.
Beeline, and now, and I don't know if there's any truth to the matter on it at all, because she was up there she's easily retirement age, but they're
Oh,
talking about
Carol.
he pushed Hutch out too. So yeah, um, if any of that is true, it's not a good look, and he needs to go, Michigan man or not.
I mean, we already know that there's disagreements between him and Harbaugh. I
And
mean,
that's, that's fine. That's going to happen.
but it's going to come down to. But I'm saying is that when you have a background of coaches, great coaches, honest, like uh, that magically just after a great season, um, are magically having to go to other jobs or take other jobs when it didn't really seem like that was where it was going.
Right.
I think the Beeline thing was the biggest one to me. I mean, from I remember watching Michigan baseball in the Big Ten championship tournament, and there was already talks about Bakich going to Clemson, um, but it wasn't a done deal at that point. I mean, there was talks about it. It's where he played. He coached there before as an assistant. Um, he wanted to go back to Clemson, but I'm not saying there wasn't any push, but the Beeline thing was very weird. Was no like you couldn't smell it. You couldn't smell it. It came out of fucking nowhere. It wasn't like, oh, Beeline's thinking about going to the NBA
Right.
or how this whole Harbaugh thing. It was one day Beeline's our head coach, the next day John Beeline is now the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Um, I mean that there's something fishy there, and the fact that um, President Ono is having to get involved is more involved. What I think he need, like what he would be. Period. I think it's a very not good sign for Ward Manuel. Um, especially, I mean, his tweet the other day that had a great conversation. I mean, that his tweet kind of seemed like, if I had to take a guess what it meant, it was, um, "Hey, I'm taking control of this motherfucker now. Ward, shut the fuck up, and we can have it." I mean, we'll obviously not going to completely tell Ward to be quiet, but this isn't somebody we need to fucking lose. And I mean, I think
Right.
that's where
And
Santa Ono is, and Santa's only been here for fucking a year, if that, not even.
3 months
Yeah.
officially. He started like I want to say
Oh
October
yeah,
1st.
it was the middle of the football season. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they announced it, I think, in May or something that he was coming, but he had to finish
Mm.
up his term, his term in British Columbia or whatever, which is fine. But that says a lot. So there's a lot of times in any type of business, and make no mistake about it, college football is a business now, right? More than ever, is that somebody's boss is going to step in and say, "Hey, I don't like the way this is being handled. This is what we're going to do." Because good bosses let their managers, and that's what Ward is, and that's what Harbaugh is, let their managers manage their thing.
Yeah.
But that Santa come out publicly tweeted that, "Hey, I'm involved now, and things are going to be just fine." Basically, um, if I was Ward, I'd show him the middle finger and walk out the door if he did that to me publicly. And so I think it's imminent that I think Ward's clock is ticking fast, and if not, there's going to be big changes. And Santa made it very clearly who's running the show here,
Yeah,
and
and that's
we
I mean,
have in my lifetime never had a president like him, a president that loves sports. I can't even. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't even remember a president really being involved.
I mean, look at all the games he goes to. I mean, it could just be,
He
hey,
doesn't miss a part. He doesn't miss a basketball
no,
home game, or he has
he's at
never missed a
basketball
football
games,
game.
hockey games, football
He's
games.
everywhere.
I mean, it could just be, in which I really hope this isn't true because I honestly don't think it is. I mean, it could just be, hey, I'm new here. Let me show a face. Let me play the political game. But I don't think it is. I think he is.
That's who he is. Because before he went to British Columbia, he was at Cincinnati for a lot of years, and the people at Cincinnati love him, and the people at British Columbia still love him. And a lot of times when people leave, they're like, I mean, maybe they don't like him, but they're like, okay, he's gone on to the next one. This guy's got a cult like following, and it's just who he is. I don't think it's a show at all. So it's kind of funny that that it's worked out the way it has. So I don't think that there is any real negatives to the situation. I guess eventually it could be, if him and Harbaugh, him and Howard, or whoever clashed, he ultimately has more power than anybody except for the regents. It could be bad, but he doesn't strike me as that type of guy. He's not like I don't know, Dave Brandon was. Dave Brandon seemed to live for the conflict. Ward keeps pretty quiet, too quiet, but
that was the big thing. I think a lot of people are wondering is not one time has Ward Manuel came out and made a post, and that's for somebody who's active on. That's somebody. I mean, has made any social media, or social media, or even regular media presence about this situation. He has not. He's been black.
Yep.
Nothing. He has not said a word about it, and it's just weird in my opinion. You're the AD. How about you let alone, especially at this time in the season, the off season, when you got recruiting going on, you have people trying to get transfers, you have people thinking about transferring out of your university, like football players. Why would you want to keep stuff as an athletic director when you want the most success for your university?
right.
Why would you want to keep this dragging on longer and longer and have the opportunity to say, oh, well, okay, we'll say RJ Moten. Say RJ Moten says, oh, I waited to the 15th because because I was hoping that this was going to happen, that guys were going to figure that Ward Manuel was going to figure his fucking shit out. Oh, it's the 15th. I have to select. Okay, I'm going pro.
Right. And I think that's probably where Zinter's at, right? He's waiting.
Michael Barrett's right there.
Yep.
Um,
And so I just want to say this: as much as I hate that Harbaugh is doing what he's doing, it's the only play he has. It's the only leverage he has is, hey, this is what we want done. If you don't want to do it, I'm going to go to the NFL. There's a lot of people that think that the NFL doesn't want him. I think he could I think there's 20 teams that would get rid of their coach to hire him.
the dude has literally had success no matter where he goes.
Right.
He's played on the big stage wherever he goes. Stanford, Rose Bowls, was playing in Rose Bowls at Stanford.
Yeah.
Went to the NFL. Boom. Took a shitty ass Colin Kaepernick.
And two AFC championships,
back-to-back
right?
NFC championship. One Super Bowl. Okay, should have won it.
Should have won it.
They came to San Diego State? No, where
Yep.
was he? He was at
San
San
Diego
Diego
State.
State.
Yep.
He was there too. I thought only Hoke. I thought Hoke was at San Diego State.
No, he
They both
started
were.
it for Hope.
Okay,
He was
so
there before
San Diego
Stanford.
State. I always want to see. I was like, yeah, I knew he was there before Stanford, but I always think it's like San Jose State, not San Diego State, because that's where Hoke's at again. Had great success there. I mean,
Everywhere he's been.
the dude wins. He's wins. He knows what the fuck he's doing. Did it take it some fucking? Did it take time to get to where we were winning Big Ten championships? Yes, it took a lot longer what people expected. But I
But
think
I
again
would
now,
argue that he was
now
handcuffed
that
in a lot of ways, from admissions to a lot of things that, and certainly he's made some mistakes along the way, but I also think we've talked about this a few times. He underestimated how big a job that this was. When he come in, had a pretty good class under Hoke, right? Pretty good group, and I think he thought he could plug a little bit. Had the transfer portal been then what it is now, I
oh yeah,
think
it'd
he
probably
would
be
have.
way different.
Yeah, it'd be a way different story. But one of the things about Harbaugh, and I think this shows the seriousness of the situation, is that he's as quirky as he is and as out there as he is sometimes. He's always been a man of his word, right? If he says this, it's going to be this. And so for him to say last year, after the NFL stuff, this is it, I'm done, I'm at Michigan for as long as they'll have me, and then to come out and do this, that takes a lot. I think it shows the turmoil that's going on in the athletic department, mostly, from everything that's out there between him and Ward.
Mm-hmm.
For him to publicly go against his word when his word is everything to him, and basically what defines him as a man and as a human, it just shows, because this has never been about money, right? He's got enough money. He's not a money motivated guy. And that's why I always laugh at all these people, and it's mostly rival fan bases. Oh, they don't want him. He can't get a job. He's calling people begging for a job. Listen, the guy's got enough money that his great grandkids are set up for life. And
Yeah, he just
you
made
think,
what $23 million last season alone.
yeah. So you don't think that he could go take a fucking coordinator's job in the NFL?
Yeah.
He could get work in the NFL. Old Johnny would find a job for him in Baltimore if that's really what it come down to.
Oh yeah, I mean the
You know,
dude is gonna get a job wherever he
like
fucking on.
yeah, he's I can only, I know there's more than this, but I can only think like Belichick. Sean Payton's another good one. There's for sure
He's
less than.
going to Denver.
Mm-hmm.
That's a done deal there. I
So
think.
this has become a way bigger shit show than was necessary, and I think for sure Harbaugh shares some of the blame, right? But to me, the majority of it goes on Ward, and that Sanono come out and said what he said and did what he did, felt the need to get involved, right? Um, to me, confirms that, because if it was on Harbaugh, he'd just tell Ward, "Hey, let him go. We'll find somebody else. We're Michigan." You know what I mean? So we'll see how it all shakes out. I would, I think there's a 99.9% chance that Harbaugh is going to be back. But I think we probably did lose a player or two to the NFL
Because of it.
because of this. And, we may lose more. And it probably has hurt recruiting, which doesn't bother me as much as it would have in the past because of our success in the transfer portal and what that has become. So speaking of which, I don't know a lot about it, but I read something yesterday, or maybe it was even this morning, that there's a proposal to change that. They get one transfer.
Yeah.
and then they get a grad transfer after they graduate. And then there'll be a hardship process, and
Well,
without
you got people like Abioki who transferred for now transferring for the 5th time.
right.
Um, I mean,
And whatever, he was
yeah.
solid for us, but he was a rotational guy, right? Um,
I mean, I guess I think that again, I think Braden McGregor this year is going to be a monster. I mean, I think he just ever since we recruited him, I think he's going to be a monster on the edge. And I mean Jalen
yeah.
Harrell on the other
So
side. I
so
mean, we have players there still. I mean,
so Oki is a Rolling Stone, right?
yeah,
I think that's just kind of who he is. But something that surprised me, my numbers might be off here, but I read in the last couple of days that like he only played like 17% of our defensive snaps.
yeah. He
Uh,
didn't play honestly. Like I said, he didn't
yeah.
play a lot. Now that
So
I
and I think I'm pretty sure that was on MGO blog, and they're like, listen, he wasn't gonna he was gonna be what he was last year. He wasn't gonna be a full time starter. He wasn't gonna play the majority of snaps, and I thought he played really well. In the times that he did play, he contributed. I thought he contributed really well for the amount of snaps he played, but it's not a huge loss. Good luck to the kid, and go make a name for yourself. But when you got a kid this is going to be school number 6 for him or school number 5,
five
5.
five.
Kid's he's a modern day drifter, and not that there's nothing wrong with that, but he's just he's out there always looking for something better, and I hope he finds it.
Yeah, I yeah. I mean the transfer portal is no. In my opinion, like so, the transfer portal and NIL are not where they were intended to be. I don't think.
No,
I think the NFL, not the NFL, the NCAA lost control very quickly of what the fuck was going on,
yep.
and that's just my opinion. I think it could be not should have been handled a lot better from the start.
Yeah,
But we all
absolutely.
know we all know the NCAA doesn't handle things very well. Period. Um,
So one thing that we really haven't talked about before we wrap up is that
we forgot basketball.
Mark Emmert, right, gone from the NCAA, and Kevin Warren, gone from the Big Ten.
I didn't know
So
that.
I don't have a lot of confidence in the NCAA leadership. I still think that a super conference thing is going to happen sooner rather than later. And the NCAA, they're going to tell the NCAA, "Fuck you, we're done." We're going to be whether it's a CFP thing or it's a mega
I mean,
conference
yeah,
or
I don't.
whatever.
Then the NCAA is not even all they do. I mean, the NCAA is not really needed anymore.
No,
I mean, now that the CFP is here, the NCAA has nothing to do with the CFP. Nothing at all.
right. But you still got the NCAA tournament, right? But they can, you know, there can be a basketball equivalent of a CFP and still run the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, right on down the line to your softballs,
CBP. Easy
yeah,
day.
and all that. So I think big changes are coming, but hopefully, whoever is the next Big Ten commissioner, hopefully they got a backbone and some great ideas. We need to, as a conference, need to innovate more instead of waiting and seeing what everybody else, particularly the SEC, is going to do and do it. We need to lead that thing. So hopefully they can come up with some NIL stuff and maybe some portal stuff, not stuff that's going to discourage other, encourage people to go to other conferences so much as to let's get some structure out there and say this is the way it's going to be. So even though college football is done for another 8 months, I think it's going to be as interesting of an off season as we've had in quite a while. Not only for Michigan, but for college football
NCAA.
as a whole. And one thing that I've seen thrown around, it was on Twitter, and I wouldn't like it, but I'd like it to get him out of here. Is there's people.
Oh, Kevin Warren going to be the Big Ten commish?
Ward Manuel going to be the
Yeah,
Big Ten
I'm
commissioner.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I said Kevin. Mix the two fucking names up. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was fucking Yoder or Bell that posted that.
I was thinking Yoder, but I wasn't 100%.
Dude, Yoder just posted something on fucking Twitter. I'm on Twitter right now to see if there's anything out about players or anything. Yoder posted something on Twitter and is like, let me fucking pull it up. It might have been. It's, you know what? It was probably from the other day because I'm on the podcast page and that it was like CJ Stroud strongly thinking about returning to University of Michigan or University of Ohio State after Michigan alumni offer him $23,000 to return.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I can't even find it now. But yeah, I figured it. I think that was either him or Yoder or Bell. That shit. I mean, either that or it might have been Swanky too. I'm not sure. But yeah, I seen that and I was like, well, that could really fuck us. If it does go out, ugly, that could hurt us in the long run. I mean, not good to have somebody in the office that doesn't like you. I mean,
No, but the one thing, and maybe it doesn't make a difference. But he is a Michigan guy, Michigan man. Played football for Bo. So you wouldn't think that he would purposely try to fuck us, but if we run him off and he's bitter, weirder things have happened. That's for sure. Hard to say, but
yeah,
interesting to say the least. I'm looking right now, but I think. Oh, I guess he would have been. I was thinking he played with Harbaugh. He might have just missed it. He's 54. I think Harbaugh's 59.
59.
Right? Yeah, so yeah. He just missed him.
Yeah.
But I always kind of wondered in the back of my mind, I hadn't looked at it till just now, if there was some pissing match that was 40 years old, that and he's like, fuck you, Jimmy. Who's got the power now?
Yeah. Who knows?
But whatever. And, it's really easy to be critical of him now, but I've never really been really impressed with him. And, not that I've had a lot of big problems, now in hindsight, looking back now, this shit's happening. It's easy to go back, but I've never been overly impressed with him either. He has been, the AD wears a lot of hats and is, primarily answers to the student athletes, but is responsible for the coaching and programs and NCAA regulations and a lot of things, oversees the compliance department. But, the AD needs to be the cheerleader of the programs too, like much as I hate to say this, Gene Smith is, for Ohio State. And I've never seen that. He just doesn't seem to be as involved and hands-on as he should be. And before all this come up, I always wrote it off to, some guys don't like the public spotlight, and maybe that was it. And maybe, hey, this guy is, he's a lot like a player's coach. He's a coach's AD, and he's letting these people do their job. But more and more stuff's coming out that it just sounds like he's fighting. He's rolling in the wrong direction, purposefully for a lot of things. And if that's where you're at, maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I agree completely. Um. All right, I got two more things. One's quick. The other one depends on how. I know we've been on for an hour already. Go to the boys on the hardwood. I mean, came into Big Ten play, looked like maybe they found their streak. Um, started 3-1. They've lost two straight. Blue Michigan State game is what it is. Kind of looked tight. Kind of looked like a young team out there, not playing in a hostile environment, making mistakes that didn't need to be made. I mean, that game period on both sides of the ball. I don't care if you're a Michigan State fan or a Michigan fan. That game was fucking tough to watch for both sides.
It was.
I mean, it was ugly. I think at one point you called it a fourth grade game or like watching a fourth grade game or something like that.
Yeah, it
I think
was.
it was like 7-4 at the 12-minute timeout or something like that. Um, it was tough to watch. I mean, then Iowa, we played a good game. Jet Howard put up 32 or something like that. Couldn't miss. I think he started out 7 for 7 in the first half. Is what is wrong with Michigan basketball? And like right now, is it
Honestly, I
Juwan,
just
or do you think it's just the youngness and no
I think
leadership?
it all goes back to Juwan, but I think it's a lack of preparedness for the success that our players have had, which goes back to recruiting. Um, you know, we pulled a couple guys off, point guards, right, out of the transfer portal the last couple years. This year, no success. I think point guards are our biggest problem. But I don't know. We play up to really good competition, and we play down to really bad competition. I'm not sure that Michigan State's really good yet, but you can compare that game, right? Four-point game. Is that what that ended up being?
Something
Um,
like that. Yeah.
North Carolina was a couple-point game, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, North Carolina, Kentucky was a couple point game. I mean,
yep. And
Kentucky
then
and North Carolina have kind of both shown that they aren't, at least as of right now, at the Kentucky, North Carolina that they usually are.
right,
Especially, I mean, Kentucky looks
and then we
rough.
lose to Central Michigan. You know what I mean? So that to me, that's a coaching problem. Like the guys aren't ready to play, and everybody's gonna. You're always going to be hyped and ready to play when you played Leslie, right?
Yeah,
And maybe not so much Perry.
yeah.
And that's on the coach. Okay, you don't got to worry about it when we're playing Michigan State. We know they're going to be ready, but when we're playing Central Michigan, that's on the coaching staff. I think.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I agree.
And
With that,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
you're good. Go ahead, guy.
So I don't think that means that Juwan's on the chopping block or should
That's
be.
what I was just about to ask you. I was like, is Jawan
Right?
Howard on the hot seat? Is the seat? Is it?
I,
I mean,
I,
is the seat getting at least a little toasty?
I don't think so. Yeah, this is year 3 for him or
5?
4. Year 5? No, is it really?
It's close to my. It's at least 4, because he came in what 2019, 2020,
Yep.
or 2019. He came in 2019, correct? No, 2020 because of COVID, and then he won the Big Ten championship the COVID year. So yeah, this would be year 4.
Okay.
So
So
2019, 2020, 21, 2021, 21, 22. Yeah, 22, 23 would be this year. Because
So
he won a
this is
Big Ten
year,
championship 4.
this is year 3.
This is year 4.
Okay, I'm showing 2021, 21, 22, 22,
Because
23.
it's been 2 seasons since we've won the Big Ten championship, and that was in his second season. He played he was coached
Okay,
the
yeah. So
COVID
yeah,
year.
okay, yeah. This is year 4.
That's why I was like, it was year 2 he won his championship, and it's been 2
Yeah.
years since that.
So I don't think that a seat is warm. I don't think that it should be warm. I think if we miss, and we're probably going to miss the tournament this year.
yeah, but again, we were also at this point last year 8-7.
We were.
And we made it to the Sweet 16, the only fucking team from the Big Ten again to make it past the first weekend. You're welcome.
Right. So his first year canceled because of COVID, right? Then Elite 8, Sweet 16 the following year. I think for his seat to even be warm, he would have to miss the tournament this year and miss the tournament next year. And then I don't even think he's fired them, but I think that, it's pretty much guaranteed, hey, you got to make the tournament, make a run in 24, 25.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I think could be a little warm, I'm not saying like he was that next year, hey, we don't make tournament this year, next year he's going to start the season on the hot seat, is that
the only way I see that happening is if we finish well below 500 this year.
Again, though, is this another Brady Hoke scenario where Brady Hoke gets here, has what we seem to turned out to be good players that Rich Rod finally got and didn't get the chance to use?
Yep.
Did he have Beeline's players and win with Beeline's players that first, second year? And because the trend since it was this, and then the trend's been down since that Big Ten championship.
And I don't think that you can say definitively one way or the other, but that's a very valid question and point. But I think it goes back to what I said earlier, going back to the recruiting. He's had pretty good recruiting success. He's had good development success, but he doesn't seem to have a plan in place to replace those guys and keep it going, right? And that's going to be his downfall. It's really tough to say, but I'll say this: is this his slapping of the Maryland coach, and he's had a couple other temper tantrums. I do think
the temper tantrum against Maryland, then the slap of Wisconsin coach, and then
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I do think that shortens his leash considerably because there's a lot of blue hairs, the hoity-toity.
No, fuck blue hairs. I don't want to fucking do
that want him gone already, and that we don't have coaches that slap people. Yes, we do. He was defending people. He shouldn't have done it, right? But I got zero fucking problem with it. Zero. I'd have done the same thing and said, hey, I shouldn't have done this, but I was sticking up for my players.
Yeah, and it's a heat of a moment thing. Again, like you said, sticking up for your players. I mean, I guarantee you look back at college football coaches in the 70s and 80s. I mean, you look at fucking Woody Hayes.
Right. Look at Bobby Knight.
Dude, threw a fucking chair across the gym in the middle of a game.
Right.
What? Like it all comes down to this fucking time period being absolutely fucked. The fucking woke shit. I mean, I'm not trying to get political, but fuck. The woke bullshit is it all comes to one fucking thing. And I won't go any more on that, but it And then that's where it comes from. Is that a lot of people weren't raised the way that I know you raised me. Is don't take people shit.
Right.
Don't start a fight, but fucking damn sure you're gonna finish it.
That's right.
Um, I mean, the time period we live in now is just fucked. But anyway,
Sherman.
I have so much shit that I want to fucking talk about right now, but I know it's not a good idea. Um, but but yeah, I mean it like you said, if that happens in the 70s, 80s, I mean, you literally had the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys out there fucking decapitating people pretty much on the basketball court.
Right.
We um but I mean it sucks. I mean, I kind of was hoping that, maybe Michigan basketball choked it away because it was not playing good because they wanted to give that luck to Michigan football, but
Yeah. And
maybe
we
not.
talked
But
about that. I was 1,000,000% okay with it, and I still personally am.
I'm not so upset with it. I mean, I was pretty fucking pissed off after the game the other night against Iowa because we shouldn't have lost that game. Fucking and 1-3 that goes in, and I'm like to tie it with 12 seconds left. I'm like, you dumbass, let him
Right.
shoot it. You're up 4. Let him shoot it. Get the ball and go down. Don't even throw a hand up. But no, you
Right.
got to go underneath him, undercut his legs, and you know what happens next. But I mean, I think that also goes down again the youngness of this team. I mean, there's really no leadership. Um, like now, when I say leadership, there's no seniority leadership.
Yep.
Hunter
And I think
Dickinson, the
that's
junior.
that's an issue too.
Who else? I mean, Terrence Williams, which don't get me started on him. I mean, it all comes down to I think that honestly, there's no senior leadership. Hunter Dickinson's really and Terrence Williams, the only one that have been around, have played in the tournament. I mean, significantly wise. Let me say that because I mean, there's players on the bench that have been around. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they could absolutely. I think they're close. Honestly, in my opinion, the defense has to get better. Uh, um, but yeah. All right, real quick. I was just gonna make predictions in the NFL division around this weekend, sports wise. So you have the NFC games. First one of the day: Seattle at San Francisco, 7-2 seed. Uh, I think the Niners win it. I think the Niners win it easily.
Yep. With you on that one.
Next one, New
No,
York.
hang on. I want to go with Geno Smith in Seattle on that.
Why they fucked you? They fucked you guys.
That's okay, but I think they're going to win.
Next one, New York Giants, Minnesota Vikings. Vikings, in my opinion, are a fraud. Kirk Cousins a fraud. They win game. They squeak games out. I think the Giants win it. And a close one.
Yep, I'm with you on that one.
Cowboys, Bucks. This is Brady's even year or Brady's odd year. This is every other year he's won a Super Bowl since like 2015, 16, something like that. This is a Super Bowl year. Brady snuck in. This would
He
be
did
the most.
sneak in. He's starting to
This
look
would
a little
be.
human, but I'm a roll with Brady.
Yeah, I mean it. Never lost to the Cowboys. Brady factor involved. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks win that game. The fact they're hosting that game is insane to me. All right, moving to the AFC. Dolphins, Bills, in Buffalo. It's gonna be cold. Buffalo takes it. No Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins. Buffalo Bills win it pretty easily.
Handily. Yep. I thought the Bills had a decent chance to win the Super Bowl before the DeMar Hamlin stuff, but now I feel like they're almost like a team of destiny. The whole world's rooting for them, right? I would be surprised if they don't at least make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Say, good thing. Good to hear he's doing good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next one, Baltimore Ravens at Cincinnati. Division rivalry, Sunday night football. No Lamar Jackson for the Ravens.
Nope.
I think the Bengals Ravens just played week 17. I think the Bengals win it. But I think it's a lot closer than what people think it'll be.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
Because of Baltimore's defense.
I don't like to support anything from Ohio, but I do think the Bengals win as well.
I don't like to support the Bengals either because it's one of Aaron's teams. It's Aaron's
Who
NFL team. But last one, final one this week. AFC Chargers at Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence never lost a game he's played on Saturday. Ever in his high school, college.
I didn't know that. That's pretty impressive. And they have
2 young quarterbacks.
They have done a phenomenal job from the train wreck that Urban Meyer created there to making the playoffs this year.
Train wrecks everywhere he goes.
Unbelievable. But with that being said, Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you on this one. I think the Jaguars get their first playoff win, I think, since 2017. Whatever year we played, the Patriots played them in the Super and in the AFC Championship. I think the Jaguars pull it out, and Trevor Lawrence stays perfect on Saturdays. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's it for today's show. Make sure to go check us out on Facebook, Tall and Taller Tech TNT, on Twitter at Tall and Taller 11, TikTok at Tall and Taller 44, YouTube, Tall and Taller. Check out the podcast if you can't watch it one day on here, where on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast. I thought it was on Apple Podcasts, but I can't get onto Apple Podcasts to check. But I'm going to look into putting it on to iHeartRadio and Apple Podcast if it's not already on there. So, yeah, guys, make sure you share it with your friends, give us likes, do anything you want, subscribe on YouTube. Again, as always, go blue. We'll see what happens with Harbaugh, and y'all have a great weekend.
I'd be shocked if he's not back. Yeah. Absolutely shocked.
I'm in the same boat, but
weirder things have happened too, right? But I felt this way all along. As I said earlier, once Santa got involved and come out publicly like that, I was very surprised that he come out with his statement. As I thought it was a pretty strong statement, saying, "Hey, we're gonna work this shit out." Basically, 3 of us are sitting down and we're gonna figure it out. And I think that ultimately that says if one of them has to go, it's not going to be Harbaugh. So we'll, like I said, weirder shit has happened, so you can't rule anything out at this point. But I'd be pretty surprised if it all didn't work out.
Just wish we could have one January or February where it wasn't.
Right.
Harbaugh's going to the NFL, or let's get him locked up.
This has to be it after this fiasco. It can't happen again, or he's got to go. And I don't really think it's his fault. I think he was backed into a corner on this because as we talked about earlier in the show, it goes against his character and everything that he believes in to go back on his word. And I'm really surprised that he did. But it was really his only play, his only piece of leverage that he had.
Yeah.
So he did what he had to do to try to. All reports have said this isn't about money for him. It's about NIL. It's about admissions. It's about his money for his pool of assistants. Um, you know, so he is it. I don't think it's a selfish thing. And the only thing that I could say that is selfish on his part is the ego thing. I do think that he likes the "Hey Jim, please don't go" type stuff.
Yeah.
But it's after this year, one way or another, it has to stop. You can't do it every year. You just can't. So, but with that being said, hail.
Yep. All right, guys. Have a good weekend.